Hey guys, it's Chris from the Ultimate Recycler. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the shed, welcome back to another episode of Monday Marathon, where we go through a pile of e-waste that was discarded. Well, it was donated to the charity shop and they don't want to deal with it, so I pick it all up every Monday. We can usually save a lot of stuff. Sometimes they just need testing and cleaning and I can put it through the shop. I also advertise on Facebook Marketplace, all the local Facebook groups for the local towns, and a lot of people come and pick up the stuff when we're open Friday. So if you don't have a shop, you still could do this. I do a weekly post on Facebook where I put, I think the heading is, in my quest to save as much electrical stuff from waste as possible, here's this week's selection. And I'll do photos of them all, and I'll just say that they've all been tested and cleaned and are in good operational condition, and then I'll list everything with a price. So that moves a lot of it. It doesn't all just sell through the shop from customers coming in. So it's certainly something that anyone could do. You don't actually have to have the shop, but then of course with Facebook you need somewhere where people can turn up and pick things up. And of course, as we all know, Facebook users are notoriously unreliable, and I do get a lot of people let me down, but there's a lot of regulars that look out for my post every week. If you do a post regularly, people actually look out for it. Enough of that. What have we got this week? Well, I buy a few things each week to try and flip. This week I purchased a lampshade. I always use lampshades, so there'll be no troubles getting some value for that. I think I paid $2 for it. And I purchased some cake servers, I think they are. They're silver plate cake servers. I'll give you a better look at those when we get a bit closer to the camera. And then the rest of the stuff was in their e-waste boxes. There's a microwave. There's another of these citrus juices. There's some sort of exercise machine. There's a hedge trimmer. And I think that's an electric blanket. So there's not actually much this week. Let's go through and see what we can actually sell and keep in circulation, or if there's anything we're just going to have to scrap, or we might even get to repair something. So let's work through it and see what we've got. So here's a closer look at the things I bought. It's actually quite an attractive lampshade. It's quite clean, and it still has the light fitting in there. So that's fine. I'll possibly use that light fitting, although the switch seems jammed up. Oh no, it still works. Alright, so I think I'll probably use that down the track, but the shade itself will be perfect on a random base that I've got at the shop, and we'll turn a plain looking lamp base into, possibly a $20 lamp. So that was alright. Happy to spend $2 on nice shades. And these are the silver plate, I think they're cake servers. They're only relatively cheap. They're not antique. They're probably 1970s. Nice decorative finish on them. They're not classed as EPNS because that stands for electroplated nickel silver. This is electroplated silver on a base metal, but the base metal is probably just a die cast. I don't think it's not magnetic. Sometimes they're even just steel. But anyway, it's silver plate. It's quite pretty. It works well. They're undamaged, little tarnished. I think what I paid, I think they were $1. They might have even been in the 50-cent thing. I reckon I gave them a tip. I think I rounded whatever I spent, I rounded up. Oh, actually, I bought some shoes as well. These ones, they're the sort of shoe I like to wear. They were my size and they were only $5. So I spent $5 on the shoes, $2 on the lampshade, and even though that was in with the 50-cent cutlery, I rounded it up to $10 a lot. So I gave them $3 for these because I'll get 10 for them easily anyway. So good margin. They made more than they were initially thinking. I got some cool shoes for $5 and something to finish a lamp. So I was really happy with my purchases this week. Now, as for the e-waste, the juicer, the citrus juicer, looks in pretty good condition. It looks nice and clean, so we'll just plug that in and see if it works shortly. In this black box, I think was a electric trimmer. Yes, it is. With some fittings. It looks to be in good order, so I'll have to test that. It's got the mains cord with it. It probably doesn't have an unplug. So we should get 10 for that, I think. They usually sell okay, these clippers. I don't know the brand. I have to check that out. This big monstrosity in front of me is some sort of stepper, like an exercise machine. It has a mains cord with it. I'll plug it in and see if it works. I never have a lot of success selling these. They do sell, but I've got to keep them very cheap. So it might only be $5. We might try 10. Looks in good condition. We'll just see how it works, and I think we might try 10 the first week on that, so I'll plug that in a minute once we get some stuff off the bench. Electric blanket I also picked up. I've already unplugged the cords from it. I don't try and sell electric blankets simply because I've tried before and they are very hard to sell. But I can still get some value here, so we'll chop the plugs off the wires, and we've got quite a bit of electrical wire to sell for scrap. The blanket itself could go straight to the transfer station, but I'm going to cut the straps off. These are like a cotton, I don't know what you call it, like a cotton tape. They're quite soft. They're great in the garden for tying up tomatoes or vines or that sort of stuff. I think because they're cotton, I'm pretty sure they're cotton, they should actually rot away in the garden if they get left there. So they're worth saving. And then the blanket itself, I usually take to the shop and put in a pile out the front of the shop as free dog blankets, because they're usually quite thick. Dogs don't seem to mind sleeping on the wires, and they will have another life then before they eventually probably still end up in e-waste. There's no salvageable copper or anything in this. They use a nichrome wire, so there's no value trying to get the wires out of them. Most of my value is going to be in these cords, but as I said, these cotton tapes are very handy in the garden, and for all sorts of other tying up exercises. They're pretty strong, and yet they're fairly soft on plants. They don't cut in so much. And then, well, yeah, hopefully the dogs appreciate some extra blankets in the colder weather. So we'll deal with that now. And then the other thing we've got is a Zito hedge trimmer here. I don't know if it works or not. I haven't even tried it. We'll test that in. And we also have another microwave. This is a Breville. We had a microwave only a couple of weeks ago, and I've already sold that. I got $20 for that one. This one's probably little bit larger and a better brand. The other one was just an Anko. So if that works fine, it looks nice and clean, we might do a lot better on that one. So all right, let's get this blanket out of the road, then we'll start testing some things. I only just realised, but in amongst the electric blanket cords was actually an extension cord, and I thought, oh, I should be able to sell this. It's fairly modern, and it's got the insulated pins on the plugs, but this just goes to show that it's important to run your fingers down the wires to check if there's any damage, because I just quickly did that as I automatically do. There's a couple of nicks to it, and then I was thinking, oh, it's a bit dodgy. And then I came across a spot here that is totally squashed flat, and it's very soft, and I wouldn't be surprised if there was a wire broken in there, or if it's not broken, it probably will be soon. So something's rubbed over that, like it might have been under a washing machine that got dragged across the floor or something, and it's badly damaged, so we can't possibly sell that. Even if I test it and it tests safe, it won't last, and it's not safe. So we'll chop the plug and the socket off that, and that gives us a bit more wire for our insulated wire bins. We might weigh this up. It's probably a couple of dollars worth, maybe. It's amazing how quickly it adds up. A quick weigh up of the wire just for interest's sake. We have 558 grams, so just over half a kilo, and at the moment my latest price list shows just over $5 a kilo, so it works out around about $2.80. So there you go. I thought a couple of dollars. It's always good to get a visual perspective of what this stuff's worth. Of course, you have to cut all the plugs off, but it's amazing how that adds up to a bit of value. Now let's get some of these things tested. And did anyone notice anything odd about the hedge trimmer? Or do they now? That's the guard off the blade. My immediate question is, why is the hand guard below the blade? That's odd. So has this been apart? I'd say someone must have had this apart, and just looking at his blade, it's very loose. Can you see that? The thing looks like it's going to fall out of the housing. So something's not right. Also, just looking at the blades, it looks like they've been cutting fencing wire with it that's really abused. So this thing's had a long, hard life, and I don't think it's got any life left, but definitely something's been apart here, and they've put it back with the guard underneath. It's obviously supposed to be up here to protect your fingers. So even just with the state of that blade, I'm not hopeful in actually being able to sell it. But I think we'll plug it in and see what it does, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have to scrap it because I doubt it's going to be in saleable condition, and it looks like someone had it at a garage sale for $8. And who knows whether they said, oh yeah, it works fine, used it last week. I'm going to plug it in and we'll see what it sounds like. I reckon, oh, actually, look at the plug. I'll have to straighten that if the pin doesn't break off, because these pins do sometimes break. Alright. It's lost the plastic sleeve off one of the pins. Not that that's detrimental to it running. Alright, now that that's straight, let's plug it in. Someone asked me the other day if I've ever had smokes and sparks and bangs and blow my shed circuit breakers when I test things, and yes, I certainly have, and it's kind of fun. But we have all the safety gear here, and I have my wits about me, and I have the film footage in case the coroner ever needs to look at it. Right, so let's power it up through the appliance tester. It's all plastic case, it's double insulated, so I'm perfectly safe. Now we have to hold this in for it to go. It goes, but it sounds awful. Actually, it also smells very hot. So it's clearly no good. Fancy someone trying to sell that. Alright, I think before this video's out, we'll pull this apart, we'll get the electric motor out of it, and it's obviously only good for scrap. We might as well scrap it out to finish this video up. So we need to test the microwave, we need to test the little citrus juice I have here, and we need to test that trimmer. Oh, and the exercise thing though. Let's get those plugged in and hopefully they work fine. Let's give this little juicer a go. It's a citrus, they call it a citrus press. It's a Cambrook. We had, oh, what's the go? Even that pin's bent. At least that looks in a bit better condition than the other one. We've had a bit of a run of these lately. I've managed to sell them all. The last week's episode had one in and it sold fairly quick. It was an older one, just got $5. Now, I'll turn the appliance tester on. You usually have to push these things down for them to work. Beautiful. And it goes the opposite way sometimes. I don't know what determines which way it goes. But that sounds good. And it looks pretty clean. None of the parts are broken. Alright, that's definitely going to be a 5er. We might try 10 being a better brand. And it's much more modern than the last one we had. So we'll try 10 on this the first week. We'll see how we go. But it really just needs a quick wipe over. But it passes the test nicely. So good, we've got something to sell. Let's get this clipper going while the camera's in good position. So what brand was it? A Whale. Is that how you say that? Home Products. The brand used by professionals. Well, that immediately makes me think it's a cheap brand because they only seem to point that out when it's not true. There's a comb in here. All the little different fittings. A little cleaning brush. And I must check the brand just in case I'm wrong with that. But yeah, it feels pretty good weight to it. So oil blades before using. Little clip there. Looks in good condition. Bit of hair around it. They're also handy as dog clippers and pet groomers and that sort of stuff. But this one does look nice. The cord looks okay. It's double insulated. So we'll turn it on. Make sure there's no earth leakage to the metal parts. That looks fine. And we have a switch here, just an on-off, but looks of it. Oh, that sounds... Is that even moving? Or is it just buzzing? Oh, there we go. That sounds pretty good. Let's see if we can remove some hair. Nice. Okay. That might be a good brand. I will check it out. At the very minimum, I'm going to get $5. If it happens to be a better quality brand, I will put 10 on it. But it certainly seems to be in good operational condition. Okay, next thing to test is this exerciser. It's like a kind of a compact walking machine or a... I'm not sure. It's almost like pedaling, I guess. So I don't know if this provides resistance and you have to sort of drive it yourself, or whether it goes and just kind of works out your muscles. So let's plug it in, power it on, and oh, there we go. We've got some life. Do we have any metal to test for an earth? Not really. Everything's plastic. All right. How do we make it go? Power? What's HA mean? Oh, there we go. Whoa. Okay, you'd want to be ready for that. You'd just about throw a hip out. So I guess it just works your legs. It'd be good for someone doing physio, recovering perhaps from a hip or knee surgery. Much slower, I would suggest. There's different speeds, obviously. Whoa, that's going fast. That's back to 1. Okay. Geez, it'd be like running a marathon on 5. And it drives with a fair bit of force. So it's got a direction. Does it go the other way? Look at that. Yeah. Function, not sure, there might be different programmable movements. Although it's really the same movement. Seems to be working fine. There's a counter, there's a thing that tells you how many calories you've burnt, I guess. Distance. Okay, so that works fine. I think I'll give that a miss. Unless it helps my table tennis game. Maybe I should work out on it. No, I think I move okay for an old bloke. Alright, so that works. How do we stop it? There we go. This is a bit more involved than one. I've had these kind of things before, but not the same as this. So I reckon we could probably do a better price on this. I'll have to check it out. What's it actually called? Let's power it off. Has it got a name? Oh, it's got little wheels there. Okay. I couldn't see a brand on it, but I'll have to check out. It must have a model number or something somewhere. There we go. It's an Ellipto Max model. Okay, all right, I'll check that out. But it's in good working condition. We might even get $20 for it. I'm not sure. I'll check it out, but it works fine. It just needs a little bit of a clean up, so that's great. Something else to sell. The last thing we have to check is the microwave. So I'll go and I'll get a glass of water and see if it heats it up. We'll check what it's like inside. I think it's got the plate in there. Yep. It's nice and clean, which is good. Oh, the plate's not as clean as it could be, but the inside of the oven looks pretty good. Some of them look like there's been a food explosion. I'll give that plate a clean, actually. Although we need to test it. I'm not going to clean the plate if the thing doesn't work. Although I probably will, because I sell the plates through the shop. But we'll put it in there to test. I'll go and get a glass of water. We'll move this thing off the bench and we'll fire up the microwave. Okay, I have a teacup here with some cold water in it. So we'll bring the microwave into shot and we'll give it a test and see if it actually works. Okay, we'll put that in there. I guess we should plug it in and make sure it's safe and make sure it's got a good earth. And, oh, what's going on here? Another bent pin. That is just bizarre. I get them every now and again, but not 3 items in a row. Okay. It might have sat underneath the corner of the microwave and got squashed. All right, we have action. Got a green LED display here. We can just push start. It'll give us 30 seconds. We'll do it again. Gives us a minute. Sounds like it's working. I should check the earth. Yep, the appliance tester likes it, so that's all good. The light comes on inside. The rotisserie is working. So as long as it heats, it's pretty well good to go. Can't see any faults with it. Down to the last few seconds now. Classic. Oh, I thought they only did 3. We got 5 beeps. All right, is the water hot? Yes. Well, the cup's hot. Yep, that's actually a pretty good cup of tea drinking temperature. I can see a bit of vapor coming off it. I'm not sure if you guys can. So it seems to work great. Alright, so I'll just give it a bit of a wipe over. Doesn't need much. Maybe just wipe out inside the oven, but it's pretty clean. And I might just put the plate in our dishwasher, give it a clean up. So then we're right to sell it. Now I have to check out what these are worth. It's a Breville, as I said. Not sure how old it is. It might have a date code on the back. What have we got here? Model BM0234-A or /A. Made in China, of course. Can't see any date codes. So, okay. Anyway, it looks good. I'll check out online to see if they're worth a lot. Breville should be a little bit more upmarket than your budget supermarket ones, although they probably made a cheaper line anyway. So we'll check it out. I'll give it a clean up. And we're pretty much done with all our testing. Before we go up onto the deck to look at all our goodies for this week, let's do an autopsy on this Hedge trimmer and just see if we can get any scrap value out of it. There's going to be an electric motor, probably not much else. So the casing all comes off from one side, or splits in half, I think, basically. And we've got the other side of this guard that's in the wrong place. For those wondering, it's supposed to go that way. Right, were there any more screws? One in the middle of the handle here. That's got it. Should be right to split it. Oh, I missed a screw, did I? Doesn't matter. Oh, it had broken out through there anyway. Well. Ah, okay. Here we go. That's why that was so loose. These screws have come right. In fact, that's totally... Look at that. I wonder if they were dismantled and just not put back in, or whether they've vibrated loose. I reckon these ones are even loose too. Maybe someone's had it apart and never bothered putting it back together properly. We have a spring in the handle. Keep all my springs. Looks like we're going to be a bit oily here. So that'll lift out there. The whole motor assembly should lift out. There's a couple of screws. Is that it? Yep. A few wires to snip off from the motor. I might as well save the wiring, or at least as much as we can get easily. So yep, all these screws are just sitting there pretty much. We can take that off. That's just going in the scrap steel or the shred. I think that whole thing, does that come off? Oh, it's got a nut on there. Very oily. I think that whole thing can just go in electric motors as it is. I think we'd get away with that. Maybe not that bit. So that is a cast aluminium bracket there, and it's a steel gear. I could take that nut off. We probably get better value if it can all go in electric motors. But the scrapyards don't like it if you've got too much metal with your motors. Oh, that's tight. Left-hand thread. I might hang on to that left-hand thread nut. You never know when I'm going to need one. So that can go in our heavy melt steel now. And it's probably not worth getting that off. That can all just go into electric motors. Okay, what have we got left? Well, just the casing. I'll get some wiring out of here. I'll chop the plug off the end. And I will save the little boot here because I need them for jobs sometimes. I have a little connector. We'll save that. And there's our wiring. So the switch, the trigger switch in this is just 2 micro switches together. One of them probably required this bracket to be squeezed up as a safety, so you would need to have both of these switched on for the thing to work. But we know they work because we tried it. So we'll save those switches. So we have 2 little micro switches we'll save. There's also a suppression capacitor just to stop interference on things. I keep them sometimes, but I've got enough of those. So we'll save the wire. They can just go into the e-waste. And we've got to take the little plugs off here. So not much wire here, just bits and pieces. So I'll sort all this out in a tick. The casing can just go in the crate for e-waste. But there we go, we've got all the value we can out of that. And now up onto the deck to see what we've got this week to sell, all cleaned up. The microwave looks pretty much as new. I couldn't really establish how old it was. I did find the model though listed at $170 retail. So it was a reasonable one. It's just basic features, but it's a good size and that one presents really well. The clippers, I think, are sort of mid-range. I did see some of this brand that were fairly expensive, and then they also had budget units. But that one cleaned up well too. The shade, I'll find a spot in the shop for that on a plain base, and the other things as discussed. The stepper things cleaned up really nicely, and I checked out a price on those, and they're about $250 new. I think you can still buy them, so they're not cheap items. Supposed to have a remote control. I think that's what that hutch is, that little spot in the middle is for. I'm just going to put, say, $30 on them, and we'll see how we go, but they work fine and they're very expensive to buy. All our recycling bits and pieces here, little bits of hardware out of the Hedge trimmer, the wire, the cotton tape from the electric blankets, various bits and pieces. The cover off the Hedge trimmer, I'll either give away or I'll put on a future Hedge trimmer that I have for sale. It's still quite usable. Little bit of stuff going to e-waste, and the bar from the Hedge trimmer will just go into the scrap steel. So very little waste, only 4 or 5 things to sell, but pretty good value this week. Not to mention my $5 shoes. I'm very happy with that, so that's great value. I've allowed $10 potential return on the lampshade because it's going to increase the value of a basic lamp base quite substantially, so we should get a good return for our $2 spent there. Other prices, as just mentioned, although I did actually drop the Exerciser Stepper Ellipto Max Thingo down to 20 because it hasn't got the remote and because there's not a lot of people sort of after those sort of things, and we'll try 30 on the microwave, so potentially $70 back, plus a bit more down here, plus I got some good shoes. So the previous week, part 25, we've sold everything except the sconce light. Interestingly, the hairdryer that actually needed a plug adapter to suit Australian sockets, I had $5 on it. Someone came in and paid 10 and said, keep the change, more than happy for $10. So that's really nice, isn't it? So we've got our 45 back there, and we still have the sconce light to sell. The Cobb & Co clock has been admired by many, but it's still there at this stage. Part 24 has been a roaring success, everything at full price. The only thing left is that water bottle, which isn't electrical at all anyway, so essentially we've sold all the e-waste from part 24. Part 23 sees the USB keyboard still sitting there and that beauty set. I might drop that down to $5. The keyboard can stay at $5. I think someone will take it for that. On the aluminium tree, I've got it priced at 20, but I'm using it to hang necklaces off. It works great for that, so I kind of don't mind if it doesn't sell. I might even take the tag off it. All we have left in part 22 is a clock radio, which I'll move into the tech corner of the shop. I won't leave it out the front, and that will sell down the track. I've actually sold one of those Bendigo pottery bottles for $20, so there's only one of those left. But I think we can rule this episode off, and every episode previous to this has been ruled off as well. So that finishes part 26 of this series. You know, when I started this Monday Marathon e-waste processing series, I wasn't expecting to commit every week, but I really like routines and it just fits nicely into my routine. It puts me under pressure each week to get it done, and I like being under pressure because I find I'm more effective and I achieve more. Admittedly, yes, parts of my shed have been neglected because I've been committing to this. Speaking of who should be committed, this one So yeah, I'm enjoying how this is going, and thanks for watching again. What has Christine brought me? News of?
No, I need you to drive me somewhere.
Oh, I have to drive her somewhere. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll catch you in the next video. Bye for now.
Bye.